Hello, welcome back to the Nest. I'm Trinity, and I'm joined by
Casey.
And Raymond, or Otta.
All right.
Absolutely. Raymond, you're a Overwatch player here, right?
Indeed.
How long have you been with our team?
This is now my third year with the team.
Third year, and you are a...
I'm a main support player for the team. First 2 years, I was the coach.
Gotcha. And then, what year are you at Ball State University?
I'm a senior now. I transferred here in my sophomore year, so now I'm a senior.
Very cool.
All right, so let's get this started. So, you play Overwatch. How would you find Overwatch competitively?
Competitively, it was mainly through the streamer Jane. He had this thing called Get Good NA, and then I just joined one of their leagues, and that was kind of and then I just got basically placed onto a random team, and that was my first actual competitive experience that I had.
Okay. When did you discover Overwatch itself?
It was very early on. I saw the initial trailers for the game, but I didn't get to actually play for a very long time because I used to only game on an iMac. But then eventually when I got a laptop many years later, I finally was able to download the game since I had Windows. So probably maybe 2 or 3 years after initial release is when I actually started playing. But I found out the game as soon as it released, and I always wanted to play it.
Okay.
Pro players, they're just like us.
They're just like us.
Gaming on iMacs.
Mm-hmm. How did you find Ball State Esports since you were at a different school your first year?
Yeah, it was through my buddy Nicholas. On the team, he's You Can't See Ghost. I used to play on some teams, and he was just one of my best friends in the Overwatch scene, from pretty much high school, just around then. And then when I did my first year of university, I kind of started to get back into Overwatch because Overwatch 2 just dropped. And then I kind of just naturally started playing games with him again. I found out that he started going to university for Overwatch. And then my pipeline to Ball State from there was kind of just, at first I was just friends with the guys, and then they started their own team outside of Ball State to enter Open Division. And then I was just kind of ringing for them and helping them out, and then all of a sudden I kind of started to coach them. It was really funny. Literally, Nicholas, he was I helped maybe one scrim, and then all of a sudden he messages their entire team and he goes, "Hey guys, I found a coach, and the best part is he'll do it for free." And I was like, well, I've now been nominated for coach and I'm not getting paid, so this is great.
Yeah. I mean,
But yeah, so then I was just helping out with that team, and that was pretty much all Ball State players for the most part. We had Spencer Yake and Nicholas on that team, and then the tank player was Nicholas's brother, and then our other DPS was just one of our other online friends. And then that kind of transitioned into me helping out a little bit with the actual Ball State team. And then all of a sudden, Hallgoat, the previous coach before me, he messaged me. At first, he was just hey, can you help us out with some stuff? And then eventually it kind of turned into, hey, we have a student position open for coach. Would you be open to doing that? And at first, it was kind of just I told my parents, I was like, hey, they want to pay me to go down to Indiana and play Overwatch. And they were like, what's a Ball State?
natural response.
Yeah. And then, but that's pretty much the general timeline from there. It was just talking to Dan and getting myself ready to come down here. But yeah, it was mainly through my buddy Nicholas.
And where were you before Ball State?
Yeah, I'm from Toronto, Ontario. I went
okay.
so I live in a small town, Ajax, and
Yeah.
I went to school just a few towns over in Oshawa, and the school was called Ontario Tech University. I did play on their Overwatch team for a little bit, but it wasn't anything real serious.
Yeah. Okay. So going from coach to now main support, how has that changed your view of the game or view of the collegiate esports as a whole?
I think it's been very fun to kind of explore both worlds, because when I was a coach, I definitely found myself very stressed when it came to managing the players. That was honestly one of the biggest struggles for me. Is we had so many different personalities. We had kids coming in that had never really played in structured environments, and also had to deal with the fact that we're a university team. We're not just a like random team that we made online, and there's no rules. There's no like you can do whatever you want. Like we have to be like we're here, we're on scholarships and things like that. So it's important for us to work together as a team and be professional. So me coming in, and especially these like typically I feel like most coaches are a little bit older. So I had to kind of deal with that like age gap too, where it was like, okay, I'm actually younger than most of the guys on the team and I have to earn their respect. But yeah, like that was a really big struggle for me. But then going to player now, I feel like I'm a lot more like individual mindset. Like I'm still worried about what's going on the team. I'm like, I'm doing my best to help out with that regard, but it's also not something that I'm concerning myself over as much because it's so important that I'm now able to bring myself up to the same speed as everyone else. Because if I focus just on what everyone else is doing, how they're doing, like trying to help other people, and I don't put that work in myself to become a better player, then all of a sudden I'm going to struggle. But it's been fun, like especially after going to a LAN as a player too. Like the pressure and everything's the same, but it's very different vibes, and I've been enjoying both. I really enjoyed my first 2 years as a coach too. Like that was such an amazing experience, but I'm also glad that I have the opportunity now to be a player as well.
Yeah. Are you excited to be, like you mentioned, you're excited for the LAN as a player. Are you excited for this ESC LAN?
Oh yeah. I think the biggest unfortunate part is that there is no Northeastern. Like
Yeah, right.
a little bit of a letdown because especially like lost to them 2 years in a row in Game 7, and it's like you want to be able to have that proper like fight back. Like we did play them in homecoming and we 2-0'd them, so it's like that that helps a little bit, but it's not the same when it's not necessarily like they lost a lot of their roster and things like that. So but overall very excited for ESC LAN. Honestly, like my big thing right now is I'm very much so hunting for like my first real tournament win. I don't like, just thinking back in my Overwatch career, I don't think I've like actually come first place in any tournament that I've played in, which has been unfortunate. I've had plenty of second places, like a lot of like top 16s, things like that, but there's never been like that actual championship where we're number one, and like so just that's what I'm going to be hunting for, especially at a LAN type of thing. Like I really wanted an IWU. We didn't get it there, so I still have opportunities throughout the year to earn that.
Yeah, talk a little bit more about that last ESC LAN. Like what were your emotions before, during, and after, and how'd you handle that?
So I think before, I mean, like we did a lot of preparation. I was very happy with how we were playing going into it. I felt like the thing that's sometimes difficult is mainly getting like good quality scrims, because sometimes it's like the top level teams, they don't want to play you, they don't care about you, and then it's like everyone else is like, I can't super tell if you're actually good or not, so we're going to take a risk, play you, and then sometimes it turns out they're actually really good, sometimes they are not. But overall, like I think we did a good job prepping. I was like very, very confident going into the event. Everyone was like, especially we were undefeated in the season. We kind of had that like swagger going in, like we're undefeated, this is our title to take. And then during, I mean, honestly a lot of the same feelings. Like the first day we played Miami and then Northeastern, and both of those games went pretty smoothly. I think we dropped a map to Northeastern, but like overall I wasn't too stressed about anything. The map that we dropped, we went over some stuff that we just needed to improve on a specific point, and we're like, all right, we could do that again. So like, yeah, that especially after that first day, I feel like we were all like happy. We were good. Like that night, I remember we got together at the Airbnb. We were watching the Northeastern versus Miami match, and whoever the winner of that was going to play us in the finals, and that was a lot of fun. First of all, like we were just kind of chilling. Even BK was there with us that day, and we were rooting so hard for Miami to win, because like we did not expect it to even be that close of a match, and then all of a sudden it was down to like the final map, and we were like screaming every kill, but Northeastern did eventually win that match. But I think that day, like I personally spend a lot of time like visualizing and like preparing myself mentally prior to a game. So it was like we woke up in the morning, had a nice breakfast together, and then we headed over to the arena. and like that area. And like most of that morning, I just would be watching the Northeastern game. I watched both our game, I watched the Miami game, just taking notes, figuring out some certain small things about their style, because that was the big thing. Is like I knew we had played them for so long at this point. I know how they want to play the game, and so I felt very prepared, because the day before, how we beat them was exactly how we play the game. It was perfect. I loved it. But then the biggest thing I knew is that there was going to be some curveball that was going to happen to us during the match, where they're going to change something. We're going to have to change something in response. And that was definitely the hard part of the series. But I felt prepared. Like, we did a little bit of review. We talked about what we wanted to do. And especially our main goal always is like play our game, make them adjust to us. We need to be forcing them in these ways, But then during the game, started off hot. Won game one pretty easy, honestly. Like, we played exactly how we wanted to. Didn't have to make any adjustments. It felt like like yesterday. Rolled them game one. Awesome. Great. Game two, like, honestly, I don't even remember for the most part. I think we ended up just starting to trade maps at this point for the most part. No one really took like a decisive lead in the series or anything like that. And honestly, like, the guys, they were playing really good too. Like, it was a very hype event. Like, we were making big plays, we were screaming. And of course, especially playing against Northeastern, there is so much talking happening.
Yeah.
Everyone's screaming. Like, it was so funny going from, we were watching the league finals. It actually felt like it was just like another day. Everyone was just happy. They're just playing some League of Legends. You get into the Overwatch finals, everyone's screaming at each other.
The atmosphere changed.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
I personally love it. But that was probably the hardest match I've ever been in because of the environment. One thing that pissed me off a little bit was during that LAN, during every other part of the LAN, during the entire season, I was allowed to talk during maps. So like whenever it was like between like points on control, or like changing sides on like escort and hybrid, I was allowed to speak. And the other thing is I was allowed in the voice call, so I can hear what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It was so weird and like frustrating when all of a sudden we're in playoff, like we're in the grand finals, and that's completely changed. I was not allowed in the voice call because of some Discord issues that they were talking about. And so because of that, I was also not allowed to speak. And then it was just like, I wasn't even on the stage with my players. I was sitting like right behind them. And like, I think looking back at it, what I should have done is instead of sitting behind them, I should have sat dead center in the auditorium just watching the game properly, because I was more looking at their PCs, and it's like that helps, but it'd be a little bit more help for me, I think, to be able to see everything. I'd be able to get extra information, but I didn't really utilize that as much as I probably could have. But yeah, it felt very foreign to me, because especially it's hard sometimes to be able to make strong tactical decisions during a match, because it's pretty hard to get the full picture, because usually I can only see from my player's point of view. But I'm personally very confident in being able to dissect what's going wrong in terms of how we are playing off of each other. And every now and then as well, it helps me, like, I'm able to make a decision like, hey, this is the thing we need to change to beat them, that stuff, obviously. But yeah, like, it was so much harder because I wasn't in the same like headspace as my team anymore. Like, I couldn't know how they were feeling and how they were communicating during the game. And usually it's like I'm able to be like, hey guys, you need to take a step back. You need to do this, and like we need to like calm down in this way. But like I couldn't do that. I can't, like, it was so frustrating. I felt like everything was kind of slipping out of my grasp. Like, I was there, I was doing my best to like take notes of what we can do better. But especially like as the map started rolling, like trading and like all this, like I definitely kind of lost my cool a little bit. Like, especially going into that game 7, I felt like, everything's retro, like hindsight and all that. Like, it doesn't help me to go back and rethink every single decision I made. But there was things where I'm like, oh, we should have picked this map. We shouldn't have like put in this player. We should have ran this. I should have been more prepared for this. And that's what sucked to me. Like, I left that game, I felt like I did not perform to where I needed to for my team. And, I'm obviously not going to take the entire loss on myself, but it was just a very frustrating experience because I felt like I could have done so much more. I've had games where I know I make such a huge impact on the way our team is able to adjust throughout a series, and it just felt like compared to what I'm capable of, I didn't reach that same impact. It felt like most of the time I was a little bit more of a spectator. I had some decent moments where, and like I was doing a great job, obviously hyping up the guys and all that, but I think when especially they did eventually throw a curveball at us. Like they switched from playing, I think they stopped playing Lucio and they just played Kiriko instead. And the way that they started playing really punished our play style. And I wasn't able to like help us make the necessary adjustments in order to beat that. I felt like we ended up just spiraling a little bit out of control. And again, we had some really great moments, but I feel like we were right there on the brink of being able to beat them, but then it was just if we were a little bit cleaner in some aspects, then we would have been able to bring the championship home. But, you know, at the end of the day, they deserved it, and it's definitely a loss that haunts me a lot.
Let's talk about something a little more positive now.
Yeah.
Right now, you're undefeated in ESC play.
Just
How's
about
the
to
season
ask.
going?
The season going pretty good. You know, truthfully, I mean, why not? Just like most of the guys, most of the teams in that league aren't as good as us, period. Like, I think Kent State was probably our biggest, like, you know, these guys could compete against us. But, you know, when we ended up playing them, it was pretty simple, truthfully. I think the big thing, like, obviously a lot of the teams, they're, like, individual players. They may not be as good at us. But like previous years, like Miami and Northeastern, I would say for the most part, we were still above them in terms of like individual player mechanical skill. But they did a really good job of having systems that worked for them. Like Miami, it was like I felt like on paper, every single one of our players was better than theirs. But what they did is they were so good at just having good timing of they ran around the map as 5 people. They shot one person, aka our tank, and if our tank could not adjust to how that was happening and we didn't punish other things and like expose the gaps that they were leaving open to us, then we would lose. So I feel like some of the teams, like I was talking to Northern Illinois when we were at the IWU LAN, and I was telling them, I was like, truthfully, you guys were one of the hardest teams to beat because of the fact that they just played somber and their whole goal was to kill me.
I'll bet that was extra frustrating for you specifically.
Yes, of course. But right, like it's like sometimes when you go into a team and like they're just trying to do one thing and you're not able to adapt to it, that's what makes it harder rather than their player is like, oh, this guy's really good mechanically, right? Like if you can't bridge the gap mechanically, sometimes that's just what you have to do. You have to figure out a way to play the game in your own style, force that onto a team, make them adjust to it. If they don't adjust, then they lose. But yeah, other than that, like I think our ESC season specifically has been going really well. We're also undefeated in homecoming right now.
Yeah.
But now this is kind of where the real challenge starts. Like we're 6-0, and then now we're going against Bellevue and Briarcliff, and those are 2 teams that are currently ranked higher than us on like the international collegiate rankings. So it's gonna be a challenge. Like especially this is a really brutal homecoming format. Usually it's around either the top 32 or the top 64 teams that qualify to go into a usually single elim bracket until top 16 when it becomes double elim. But this year it's top 16 Swiss. So we need to get at minimum 8-2 in order to realistically even have a chance of qualifying top 16. So it's like, you know, if we were to theoretically lose both of these games right this week, then it's like next week's the pressure is on. We need to win both of those games type of thing. And it's going to be against teams that are also with the 6-2 record. So it's not going to be a bunch of random teams.
Yeah.
So a lot of pressure there. It's been, and like, especially since ESC matches aren't as competitive and neither has our homecoming matches, we haven't been able to get as much like experience of playing a match that like really gets us nervous, really makes us try our hearts out and like be challenged. And that's why I think the IWU LAN that we just went through was probably the best thing that could have happened to us. You know, I'm obviously very sad that we came second in it, but that game against IWU was, first of all, like one of the most fun games I've ever had the pleasure of playing in. Like it was so funny. We were down 0-2 in the series, and then we win one map and we are out of our chairs. We are screaming. We're giving each other hugs. Like it was just a great moment like to share with my teammates. And then like we made some crazy comebacks. We were making some crazy plays, and I think for me too, there was a lot of mental aspects of that game where it was like I knew I went into it so nervous. I was not playing in like how I usually wanted to. I feel like the way we were communicating, it wasn't the same. I found myself like one of my jobs is to track ults of the enemy team, and I would like when my teammates were asking me, hey, what ults do they have? Like there was a lot of moments where I kind of would just freeze, like, oh man, I forgot to think about that. But yeah, like I think, and then it also exposed a lot of our weaknesses as a team. Like IWU again, they had a style that they wanted to stick to. We've beat it before, but it is a little bit different every single time that we kind of have to beat it because the characters that are strong are different. What we are playing is slightly different. You know, obviously now also we have a different roster, so a lot of our play styles are going to be slightly different. So I think that truly was one of the best things that we could have had happen to us in order to prepare, because I feel like now this week we know what the things that we need to fix are. We need to, and then from there we need to take that into practice. We have an ESC game against Miami where we can get a little bit of practice. And then, you know, it's going to be straight into the fire on Thursday against those two really good teams. But, you know, we have a couple scrim blocks, like we were scrimming today, scrimming tomorrow. So hopefully we can use some of those lessons. And then, like, kind of going back to the mental stuff, too. Like, sports psych is one thing that we, you know, have here at Ball State, and I think is a pretty unique program. So me personally, I even scheduled an individual meeting with Henry, who's our sports psych for the Overwatch team, because like I know if I'm not able to come into a series is a big thing, playing at my best, it's super tough because the homecoming matches, they're 1st to 2, so it's like you mess up once, okay, you know, like you're already in a bad spot.
Yeah, don't do that again.
Yeah.
If you mess up a second time, right, then you're just straight up out. There's nothing that you can do to recover from that at that point. So it's really important you're able to come into a series hot, take that first map, or be very competitive in it, and then kind of be able to bring the series back from there. So I know that I have mental skills that I need to work on. I know other people on our team have that too. But if we're able to kind of keep our cool, play our game, you know, not get ourselves like all twisted up, and then just go from there, like I'm pretty confident in us for the rest of the season.
I was just going to ask, with ESC, the LAN's going to be in December. Do you think that kind of distance in between matches will kind of throw you guys off, or is just that consistent scrimmage and stuff like that keeping you guys?
It's definitely going to throw us off because mainly just because we're students, you know. I think that's like that is usually the hardest part. Like even going into like last year when we went into the ESC LAN, it's in May.
Yeah, it was
or I think
April,
late
I think.
April.
Yeah.
It was like right at the end of the year, and it's like, you know, it's a good way to cap off the year, but at the same time we have people that, you know, now they're trying to finish up these final projects, they're preparing for exams. You know, we had Spencer, he was getting ready to graduate, all this stuff, right? Like there's a lot of pressure that comes at the end of the semester in terms of school, and you know, it's obviously up to us as students to be able to handle that, but it's not as easy to want to play the game as much, to want to scrim, to want to put in your full effort, and you know, it depends from player to player in terms of those aspects. Like, you know, some of us, like especially for me, like I obviously don't want to throw away like all the effort we put in throughout the year just because, you know, we're burnt out at the end. But it is very difficult to have that final push, and you know, I foresee it's going to be somewhat similar to that for our December LAN. Like I hope that we're not going to be super burnt out and everything like that, but it's important for us to not let that burnout hit us super hard, and then, you know, all of a sudden we're half-assing scrims, we're not doing any of this stuff that we need to be doing. So yeah.
All right.
100%.
Do you have anything else, Casey?
I'm good. No, that was excellent answers. We've been happy to have you on The Nest, your premier destination for all things Ball State Esports. I've been Casey Alexander.
I've been Trinity.
And I've been Raymond.
Thank you all for listening. We'll see you next week.